5, 4.
Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever the hell you are, and welcome to Tales from the Undertaker. As mentioned, I am somewhat without a table. So today, instead of your regularly scheduled vodcast of us playing through the adventures of the Howland Agency, instead I thought what would be really cool is if we sat down and got to know one of the players, as well as one of the most beloved characters in the cast, and that, of course, being Darby, played by our ever lovely Justin. G'day, Justin.
Hello. How are you doing today?
Oh, not too bad. It's a typical Australian morning, sun beating down on me like an angry housewife. But, apart from that, doing pretty good, mate.
Nice.
So, of course, for today's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to delve into, of course, the mind of Justin. So, Justin, let's start with, who are you? Tell us a bit about yourself. What is it you do, outside of, obviously, slay dragons and
Oh yes.
delve dungeons?
I am just a local nerd. I run a podcast in town with my friend Austin, called Have You Seen? We were at a local podcast festival. That's where we met these guys, and I joined up with them doing some of their video game shows and board game shows, all stuff I'm interested in. And they asked me if I would be interested in doing this, and I jumped at the chance. I love... I haven't played Pathfinder a whole lot, but I've played role-playing games, mostly Dungeons and Dragons, since I was like 13.
Yeah. Nice. And what was the thing that got you into it in the first place when you were 13? Like what set the tone for your enjoyment of role-playing games?
I liked board games. So people who I played board games with were just, hey, you want to try this out one day? And I just fell in love with it. Part of it, like the number crunchy stuff, though I'm not like huge into that, but the appeal is there. I mainly, I would say my favorite part is creating characters. I come up with character concepts a lot.
Oh man, no, I love the character creation part. Like that is just always been one of the things that have been, I don't know, I feel like that's the meat and potatoes of playing a game. Some people, it's like writing the story. Some people it's like role playing and stuff like that. But, oh my God, like there is a special kind of joy to be had from taking a bunch of different ideas from different classes, different powers, different equipment, putting them together and making something that is unique and yours.
Right, for sure.
Which going into that, I mean, like, what are some of your favorite characters? I mean, not necessarily, obviously, Darby. We'll get to Darby in a little while. But, like, what are some of your favorite characters for, say, Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, for sure. I've had a lot of characters that I've really liked. I've played a bard that was a stand-up comedian. So I would try to give inspiration and come up with jokes, which was hard. Coming up with a lot of jokes because you throw out a lot of inspiration and stuff like that. But it is fun to say like a really bad joke and then cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter on something.
Yeah, no, that's definitely right. I definitely have done that once or twice myself. I played this French revolutionary who was trying to get the crowd to start mocking someone who was doing a political speech, and I threw a tomato at him, and then he was sort of like really angry, and he was like, turning around, and he's about to say, go out and kill them. But then I cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter. So he was laughing and telling the guards to go kill us.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guards were like, "Is he joking? I feel like he's joking. He's laughing. Of course he's joking. No,
Nice.
we won't kill them."
Nice.
And that was really funny.
Very nice.
Yeah, yeah. No, bards are also a lot of fun. I think they're a very underappreciated
For
class
sure.
of character.
For sure. I
I
like
mean,
them a lot.
what what was your experience with the bard? Like, did you enjoy it?
Oh
Was it
yeah,
something you?
absolutely. I played with like the same group of people mostly, with like one or two people shifting here or there. Our main problem was is that none of us really liked being a dungeon master. So we would always start games, and then the person running the game would get tired of doing it, and then that game would fall apart, and then someone else would be like, "Oh well, I'll try running it, so I don't have to stop playing," and so on and so forth.
Yeah, sometimes that can get very hard.
Yeah. Um, so while I didn't play the bard a whole lot, I did enjoy it. Um, it was really fun coming up with trying to come up with quips, and being snappy. Um, I would say that the character that I spent the most time with and probably had the most fun playing was it's loosely D&D, but some like homebrew modifications to it that we played. And this was a campaign that lasted for 2.5 years. This is a pretty long one. Longest I've been in for sure. And I played a mastermind rogue, and we were mostly a group of goblins. I specifically could disguise myself because I had like the master disguise feature from my class. And then the way she kind of had the races, especially goblins, the reason all of us went towards it was because it was cool. Was as you leveled up the first few levels as a goblin, because they normally died so quickly, as you leveled up as a goblin, you start off with really low stats at level 1, but then you'd get a stat that you could put anywhere, and then you'd get like a bonus ability on top of like what you put on. Like I put mine stuff on charisma, so it gave me some boost, like small boost to some of the abilities I wanted to do, which was interesting. But it was just really fun playing him because he was evil. And there were several times where I completely betrayed the party, but nobody really knew. Like, everybody at the table knew it was me, but none of the characters knew it was me. Because I would constantly, like, basically every time we would go up, I would set up a different persona and set up, like, a different underground market there that funneled back to me. And several times I gave up the party members knowing that I was like, I just justify like, oh, I know that they can handle getting out of that, but I made some money by like giving them up or whatever, which was fun to play.
Yeah, charismatic, I suppose chaotic, quasi-evil characters can definitely be a lot of fun and be a huge challenge, because I assume your party didn't really appreciate too greatly being thrown under the bus.
Nah, it eventually got to the point where it was like an ongoing joke, and whenever it came down to it, I would always be there. Like I would put them into trouble, but then I would also bail them out, kind of a thing. Not really like I was like so much more powerful than them, but I just kind of made it look like that way. That I was there to bail them out when I really kind of wasn't. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You claim credit for the rescue missions.
Yeah, and I wasn't like overtly evil. I was charismatic, so very few people knew I was evil. My party did. I think quite a few of them were evil too. We were mostly goblins. But our main thing is that every time we'd go to a town, we'd go and get set up, and like, it's kind of like a natural thing to do as a group is to like find like a base of operations wherever you're at. And we kept on running into the problem because we were goblins that we couldn't really find anywhere. We'd always get run out. So like our main driving force behind like that campaign became finding and establishing a goblin city, which we did.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh god, I can only imagine what a goblin city would be like. Because obviously Pathfinder's
a little bit different.
monster sort of spearheaded has been the goblin, and the goblins in Pathfinder have an entirely different dynamic to
Yeah.
what you'd expect from the D&D
Way
ones.
different.
So I mean, I love the Pathfinder goblins. Honestly, like I think goblins in earlier editions were very throwaway encounters. I've never really had a good, I suppose, experience with them. It was just more like goblins are skeletons, are Sahajin, are Murlocs, are everything that you kind of see at low level. But until Pathfinder sort of started hitting the ground with like these concepts of developing them as a unique encounter, did I actually really start enjoying goblins. And I admittedly have played my own goblin once or twice.
Nice.
Some people have actually, yeah, some people have actually seen it live. Yeah, no, I've had a few goblin
Very nice. Very nice.
that did their own thing. All right, so let's move on to, of course, Darby. Now, Darby is, of course, our alchemist character that plays Tales from the Undertaker. He is, well, actually, you know what? I won't tell you about him. Let's have Justin tell you about him. So,
Yeah.
in your mind's eye, what does Darby even look like? Well,
So the way I picture Darby, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, honestly. So like immediately what jumps into my mind is like Filch from Harry Potter. So just like, but more demony because I'm tiefling. So like with the rat tail and stuff like that. But more of like less of that look, but like a snooty noble kind of person attitude. Like he doesn't realize that, or he does realize that he's never really going to be accepted in those circles, but yet he still like has a chip on his shoulder about it.
Fair enough.
Just he's short, he's skinny, so he's just kind of small in general. He had it looks like eczema on most of his skin, just like really blotchy, and he's like that mustard brown color, really tiny horns, balding, but like got stuff going on the sides. Like I said, he's got the rat tail. He wears nice clothes, but doesn't upkeep them at all. He's pretty messy.
Cool. And it seems as he's got a very unique appearance. I mean, what do you reckon the source of that inspiration was? Like, kind of what sort of lent you to it? I mean, was it Professor Filch or was it something else?
I just kind of like the idea because I say all that, like I say that stuff, but deep down he is good. He's like a good guy. He'll do what he needs to like whenever push comes to shove, he'll put himself in the way. Like I have a couple times to save people that he thinks have gotten like has accepted him. Pretty much, like if he doesn't like if he thinks that you're snooty about him being who he is, he like just writes you off and he doesn't care. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so from his appearance, obviously, there is obviously the noble bearing and stuff like that, and then obviously, his kind of demonic appearance or devilish appearance or demonic appearance. I mean, tieflings, for example, are fiends and usually have some manner of corruption based on the plane they come from. So where's Darby? Where's Darby's heritage? Where does his origins come from?
Well, he honestly doesn't know much about it. He likes to learn, and he's read things about it. So he has like just like away from him, he's more fiend.
Which fiend, more specifically?
I don't really have like a specific one in mind.
Fair enough.
For that one. he doesn't really. He kind of resents that side about him, so he's like. He's interested because like he's read up on it, but it's not like his main interest of study. Which his main interest of study is explosions. He loves explosions.
Who doesn't? Which yes brings us to, of course, what Darby is, and that is, of course, the alchemist. Now, the alchemist, for our fans who are watching, is basically a chemist of some variety that makes ale. No, it's a chemist that that can do and perform magical feats. In the very traditional sense, an alchemist was someone who was said to be able to perform great miracles and acts using science, such as turning lead into gold. In the game of Pathfinder, and indeed in many other games, they are potion masters, they are brewers, they are people who formulate and create magical and amazing concoctions that defy belief. In the case of Darby, however, he's kind of stepped a little bit aside from that concoction thing and taken up a cause creating homemade bombs.
Destruction.
So destruction,
Yeah.
explosions, etc., etc. So tell us a bit about that. Let's start, of course, with what inspired you to turn Darby into an alchemist.
Well, I like the idea. Well, first of all, like to get more back into it. The reason I went with like the appearance was, I kind of like the idea of a character who's a hero but doesn't. He's not like the natural picture of like someone heroic. And the reason I chose alchemist. Honestly, at first I was kind of going for more of like a traveling salesman, like snake oil kind of guy. Mm-hmm. That actually had potions, but he would like keep those for himself and sell off fake ones, but like demonstrate what they do to him. But just like reading into it, and just kind of how I like to play games, which ones were appealing to me. So I went with the Grenader, and I think it fits well because while he's mostly kind of shuns the demonic part of him in his head, I think that his love of fire probably stems from that. He has the firebug trait, so he not so much that setting things on fire or like watching them burn, but specifically like marveling at alchemical reactions and just like how stuff like that works is what drew him to that.
Fair enough. Okay. So yeah, basically with playing your alchemist, which you've now done so for a while, how do you feel? I mean, like, how does Darby feel about his place in the Howland Agency? So, by this, of course, I mean like just by himself. What role does Darby see himself fulfilling among his peers?
He sees himself as the voice of reason that's probably going to be ignored. And so much so to the point that like, because he's kind of cynical and now he's melancholy, so like it's kind of getting more to the point where like he just assumes they're not going to go with his ideas anyway. So like maybe sometimes, not that he won't express the ideas, but if it gets shot down, he'll just be like, okay, whatever, and he'll just kind of basically he's coming to the mindset of like any of these ideas are just as good as any bad idea we'll come up with.
Cool. And
but he sees himself as like as also mechanically a high source of damage.
Right. Technically a combatant, I think, is
He doesn't
kind
like
of
to
it.
get up
Like,
close. He prefers to stay in the back, not too far away, because he can only throw so far.
but he's not afraid of being in combat, is what you mean to say.
No, he's not afraid of it, but he knows that that's not where he excels, so he avoids it.
Hmm. Cool. All right. So speaking of course, Darby's peers, let's go through and get an impression. Like the two things I'd like to really press here is what is Darby's impression towards these people, and what does Darby perceive their opinion of him to be? So let's of course start with the late and former Raylan, who rest in peace, Raylan. But obviously, this was a fresh thing. If you guys haven't watched it, definitely check out the other episodes as well. Raylan was a half elven
Cleric.
cleric of Sarenrae,
Saren Ray.
and she ended up giving her life in a battle against some orcs. And of course, like this, sort of echoed throughout the group because she was a very important part of the group. She was a healer. She was a friend. Obviously, before she perished. I mean, Darby, what's your how did Darby feel about Raylan prior to her untimely demise?
Prior to her dying, um, Darby didn't like Raylan as much as the other two people in the group, mostly for kind of the reasons that we talked about before. Um, in my head, or in Darby's head, the other two kind of accepted him, whereas she was like, not as much. Um, he liked her fine. Other than that, he thought that she was very strong. She was impressive. Um, uh, in those regards, but he thought that she was one-sided. Case in point, like just straight up like every turn being detect evil, attack. Um, and in Darby's head, we failed in that challenge because of her.
Okay, we'll go into that a little bit. Obviously, tell us a bit about the challenge that you're talking about and what your impression of that was.
I thought it was cool. I really liked the challenge.
Which no, as in like
yeah,
start by explaining
we had
to those that may not
yeah.
really.
In the previous episodes, we had a trial to see if we were good enough sweepers to join this group, to to help them. So we got tested in 3 different ways. There was an intelligence test where we had to solve a puzzle, open a box, and then solve a riddle. Which we opened the box, didn't solve the puzzle. Then there was the test of combat where we fought against one of them, and kind of if we were able to see beyond the direct battle, which we were able to pass. And then the third one was we unknowingly got sucked into like an illusion of some kind, where we were trying to solve a murder, and there was a red herring that we completely fell for, and so we failed.
Yeah, no. So that was an unfortunate incident. I mean, you guys did okay, but that
Yeah.
But of course, that being okay does not make you exemplary. But yeah, no. Look, and obviously when Raylan died, things changed. Obviously, there was a really great moment I felt when you could almost see that the only person who was really not concerned, but like the only person who was kind of like thinking about like the future and like what the loss of Raylan meant was, in my opinion, was Darby. So how did Darby handle like the moment of death, like when Raylan fell?
Darby was shocked and sad at first, and then he kind of had to come to the cold realization that um, stuff like this is gonna happen. Um, so we had to first get out of danger so nobody else died. And then he was kind of just focused on making sure that the group stayed together was his main fear, because he had finally, not so much like that he completely trusted them, but he was like starting to feel like that they didn't care so much about his stuff. So he was terrified that they were going to break up. So he did his best attempt at being nice to everyone. um, he's not very good at reading people or talking to people just in general. Unless it's to specifically be intimidating.
That's very true. It is definitely something that we have seen from Darby pretty much consistently since the start. Even when you were forming the group, there was a certain level of, I suppose, tension that Darby exuded when it came to doing social interactions. All right, so moving from of course from Raylan into the next member of the group, which was of course Geralt, the halfling brawler drunk ex guard of Seska. So what's Darby's thoughts on that, and kind of where does he see, what does he see that opinion being?
Whenever Darby first met Geralt, he thought that he was just an impulsive asshole. Uh, now he thinks of him as a genuinely decent impulsive asshole. Uh,
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's pretty much how he sees him as.
Fair enough.
But to the point where he sees that the stuff that he does is more endearing than more than most people.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And what does Darby think that Geralt feels towards him? Like, obviously they've traveled for a while. You've kind of got a good idea of what Geralt's like. What's Darby think that?
Darby assumes that most people are just going to use him until he's less useful than what keeping him around incurs. So he is mentally prepared, or he thinks he is mentally prepared to lose any of these people at any point, whether them dying or them being like, I'm tired of this, I'm gonna go do this instead, at pretty much whatever point. He thinks that out of them, out of the people that he's met, that Geralt is a genuine person, so that he doesn't think that like the friendly banter that they've had a little bit is false. Like he's not like it's not like he thinks that it's all like just an act, but he's not sure that he trusts any of these people with his life or anything yet.
No, I get what you're saying. And I think there's definitely that sense of self-reliance. Like there's definitely this sense that that Geralt is very independent and that he's very confident of this, and yeah, that doesn't really leave too much space for those he doesn't. I suppose because Darby is a alchemist, because he does play on the back lines and he does use what is fundamentally tricks and kind of wibbly wobbly traps and stuff like that. Geralt is a frontline fighter who respects strength and power, may not necessarily respect it in that regard. So yeah, I could definitely see that. All right, so let's move on to our newest party member, which of course is Sorora.
Sorora, we'll get there.
I got
We'll
that.
get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Because I keep wanting to say Sonora, which
Sonora.
I know is wrong. Yeah. So Sorora is obviously our latest addition, who is the half-elf druid-esque character that has emerged. Obviously, brand new character, brand new player joining in. What's Darby's first impressions of this? Of this?
At first, Darby was wary that everything she was doing was an act, but now he's convinced that she is clueless, lost, and
that's
just
awesome.
grabbing
It's
onto
like
anything that she can find.
yeah, it's like, this person is very suspicious. We might need to keep her. Oh, wait, no, she's an idiot. Ah, right. Never mind. Do not worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very Darby-esque, which is, yeah, that's kind of cool. And obviously, with all opinions on this new character at the moment are fresh. Everyone's still kind of getting used to this person. What do you think her impression of Darby might be coming new into the game, or coming new into the game and both new into the party?
Again, he is, especially with her, he is not expecting much. If he's proven wrong, great, but he's expecting her to cut off and run as soon as she finds a better traveling party. Like, basically, we found her and she had nothing else, so she's just with
victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I could definitely see that. Obviously, you found her at the side of the road when her wagon was wagon was destroyed. You've given her a ride. She kind of healed some of your injuries after dealing with the orc.
Very nice.
So there's kind of like it's almost like she's doing it because she's trying to endear herself so that you won't throw her off before she wants.
Exactly.
I could see where you're coming from on that one. Fair enough. All right, and that of course leaves us with the final member of the group, which is of course Khalil himself,
Khalil.
the man who put together the group and never rolls higher than a 5 for some reason. All right, so what's Darby's impression towards their illustrious leader and the Howland Agency?
Darby likes Khalil. He was didn't portray it, but he was very touched that Khalil came and offered him to join a group. Darby had never been offered to join a group before in his entire life. So that was cool. And that's kind of just like made a big an impact on him that he wants to protect Khalil. He wants Khalil to keep being Khalil because in Darby's eyes, that hopeless optimism is what gave me a chance to finally start something after I'd been trying for quite a while to no luck on my own. So he doesn't want to see that falter. That's pretty much how he sees him.
That's very cool. That's very touching too. I mean, like, because as you've kind of let us know now, is like Darby's definitely a very I suppose singular character with very few social graces and stuff like that. To have that sort of such a strong connection with the person who I suppose put out that first olive branch is very interesting. It's very cool.
Darby
and
definitely
I can't
doesn't want Khalil to know any of that, though.
Oh yeah, no, of course not. But it's going to be very interesting to see kind of how this plays out. I mean, obviously there have already been some moments where Khalil has been somewhat in danger,
Hmm.
such as obviously when you were in Carrion Hill, and poor Khalil ended up having to miss the wagon out of town. Um,
The
it'll definitely be interesting. Oh, sorry,
Sorry,
go on.
no, I was gonna say like the best moment that kind of sums up how Darby sees Khalil is he heroically goes crashing through the window to try to save someone, but he misses and then just crashes through the window and face plants. And there's a bunch of zombies surround him. So climbs up there because he has his climb speed potion to give him a potion and make sure he's okay. He like hands out the potion
Mm,
for him to grab, and instead of taking it, he attacks all the zombies with burning hands. So
mm.
he's just like he kind of just like at the same time is like you idiot, and then it's like but also like kind of admires him for not protecting himself right away.
Mm. And if Zach's watching the stream, no. Yeah, no, look, that's great, man. And look, I love it when that kind of happens. And here's a pro tip for you guys if you are tuning in. When you play characters that are very antisocial, it's always a great idea to find at least one person in the group that you're really going to resonate and connect with. By simply doing that, you turn your character from being sort of disliked to kind of indifferent from everyone to at least every now and then showing that one person is a connection, that one person can pull you into the story and pull you into the group. And Khalil, obviously for at least Darby, has done that really well, and I'm very excited about it. I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely great. All right, so the last thing we'll cover in today's little coverage thing um, is, of course, Darby's illustrious motive. He obviously with me and my games, I always tell my characters that you need to have a backstory. Your backstory, while it's important, and we could go into the backstory, but I'd rather show you guys that than just sort of tell it to you.
Right.
One thing I think that's really important is, of course, the character's motive. So tell us, what is Darby's motive? Why does he get up in the morning? Why is he part of the Howland Agency? Why is he journeying to Corvishaw to die to basically safeguard what is effectively a castle filled with vampires?
Well, as generic and broad as it is, it comes down to wanting acceptance.
Cool,
Mainly,
man.
more specifically, he wants to build up his reputation so that he can one day go back to his noble heritage and earn his way back into their graces. And then he won't have to do all
Cool.
this useless adventuring. He can just study.
Cool. And why is this so important to Darby? Why is returning to his family such an important part of who he is?
Um, well, that may evolve as things go on, but as of right now, with his character, um,
Mhm.
that's what he knew before. It's what he's comfortable with. So he's been thrust out, and he's gone from what he thought was a comfortable lifestyle, which was a life in seclusion, pretty much, to being thrust out, and he got thrown out from his house probably about a year before meeting the rest of the party, in my mind, and he basically has been a hobo, and not a good one because he's not good at begging. He looks hideous. Um, um, he's like condescending. So he's just been really struggling. Um, and so he's just been dreaming that, like, oh, if I can just use my alchemy to prove my worth out into the world, then I can go back to that safe space.
Cool. So being a part of the Howland Agency offers not only the chance to do that, but to also offer some sense of returning to the way of life that you were accustomed to, as opposed to the horrific conditions of living on the streets. Awesome. Well, look, I think Darby is an amazing character, and I think you've done a stellar job.
Thank you.
And if you want to check out Darby and the rest of the gang, tune
Please
in
do.
every week on the, I think, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, or if you're like me on the other side of the world, it is in the AMs of the GMT +8 at specifically, I think, 9 o'clock, because they've got daylight savings in America now, which I've just learned.
Well, not just now. It's not like a new thing.
Yeah, no, it's not anything. It really isn't. It is for me.
It is.
Okay.
It's stupid.
Well, okay, we'll save the debate for later. But thank you very much, guys, for joining us. It was really appreciated. Do we have the outro-y kind of backgroundy thing so we can do the rappy McRap thing?
Ready?
Or are we just going straight to the video?
I think we got it.
Have we got a thing? All right, here we go, guys. All right, so again, I have been Michael from Ask a Pathfinder, and if you want any and all advice from Pathfinder, role-playing games, or any of the other things, feel free to come and check me out at Facebook/AskAPathfinder, or come chat to me directly on Discord at www.discord.me/AskAPathfinder. I'm happy to chat all the time at weird hours because, hey, I'm Australian. Obviously, with the release of Pathfinder version 2, I got tons of stuff to say to you guys. So, definitely come chat me up and we'll talk. We'll do lunch. And of course, from Color Circuit this week. That was a lead-in. Normally Zach takes over on that one, but you're do you want me to do it? Okay, I think Eddie's kind of.
Today's Tuesday, so that means tomorrow's Wednesday. I believe that's what Zach always says. So they're gonna do Sketch Monkey at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and then they got Improv Bagel at 8 p.m. and then they got Burnt Bagel after that, which is a sketch and improv comedy podcast. So come on and check all that goodness.
Yeah, definitely come out and check it out. Show your support. Obviously Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. And until next time, guys, as always, keep your dice rolling and make sure your ideas stay mindworm free. Have a good one, guys.